Welcome to Inspiring Hope with Lois Hermann, a leading expert in professional coaching, clinical hypnosis, and energy clearing. Lois is an award-winning author of Chronicles of Hope. She has decades of experience in advanced hypnosis techniques, has conducted highly effective success coaching programs that have helped clients discover ways to achieve success, empower themselves, their families, as well as holistic practitioners to expand their practices. Get ready to be empowered with your host, Lois Hermann.
Hello, and welcome to Inspiring Hope. I'm your host, Lois Hermann, and I'm here to inspire you with positive messages and to help you to celebrate everyday people who are making a difference in our world. When we focus our thoughts and energies on what we love to do, we create powerful shifts that cause us to be more positive and peaceful. As we lift our energy, we empower everyone around us. If we each do what we can to make small shifts in awareness, from kindness to simple happiness to healthy habits, we create ripples of hope. Join us as catalysts for positive change for our families, our communities, and our world at large. I hope you're inspired by today's show. And today, welcome May. Friday was May Day, and I don't know whether you saw me outside, but I was dancing around the maypole in my backyard in celebration. Oh my goodness, it's been a long, intense 5 months of nonstop writing, editing, reviewing, and decision making. I can completely relate to compulsive, obsessive behavior. I've been guided by my muses to awaken from 3 to 5 every morning to capture my thoughts, ideas, emotions, and explanations to create Chronicles of Hope, the Collective, Book 2. She will be off to the publisher tomorrow, and I'm already breathing a huge sigh of relief. We have a few minor little tweaks to do this evening, and she's off and running. So this book is an interesting one. It brings timely messages that are deeply relevant to what's happening with humanity during this coronavirus situation. This knowing has been the internal driver for my compulsion to complete this book for you. We're living in a challenging time that affects each of us in different ways. Some are frustrated at being at home. Personally, I'm happy. Others are overworked. Many are fearful of exposure. More are worried about the loss of their income, their loved ones, or their business. There's so many fears, so many worries. What will come of our lives, our country, our world? The world as we know it has indeed changed. We've embarked on a new way of living that will reset our lives to a new normal. Even when we return to the old way, things will be different. There will be many whose lives and livelihoods will have changed dramatically. Others will have residual emotional challenges. Some will emerge in a better place, having made life changes that are more balanced based on the reset from this coronavirus shakeup. What if you had some guidelines to navigate this change? We've been given messages by the Collective in Chronicles of Hope, Book 2, to live our lives with the coming of a new age, a new era, one of equality, of consideration for each other. It's been an intense journey working to deliver these insights, and there's much more to come. Look for Book 2 to be released this summer. Please also help us share the messages with the world as we offer them in a myriad of forms. You can check out the blog with a sample of the preface at loishermann.com and chroniclesofhope.net. You are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Hermann at WSMN 1590. We're here every Sunday morning. And one of the changes that we're adapting to is next week, the show will be live streamed via YouTube. You'll get a link to the show on Facebook. However, the show will be recorded straight to YouTube along with the WSMN1590.com website. So go to my loishermann.com website right now click on the button to subscribe to YouTube, and you will be ready to view it next week. Click on the little bell, and that will alert you of changes or anything new that I've added. We'll continue to upload these shows to Facebook. It'll just be easier to manage them on recording them live to YouTube. So in Book 2, you can read how this show was inspired by the channeled guidance of Jesus, believe it or not. He told us that there are many more good people in our world. However, their voices go unheard. They're overshadowed by all the negative. We need to allow the voices of the good people to be heard. This is what inspired me to start this show. And I have noticed that since the COVID situation, that the news is now shining the light on more good people. The media has changed somewhat. I am seeing wonderful stories of people doing great things for each other, and the media is responding with more good news stories. So in our show today, I'm shining the light on a wonderful woman who inspires many personally and professionally, Denyne Sanville. Now, I usually do pre-show interviews with my guests to get an idea of what they're going to talk about, and I want to share, she sparked my own awareness of Feng Shui principles. And so after the call with her earlier this week, I cleaned up the clutter in my money corner, so pay attention. And guess what? Within days, I had unexpected money come in 3 different sources, exactly enough to get this book published. Anybody else would have said, oh, I'm going to go on a vacation. No, not me. I was worried about how am I going to get this book published. And sure enough, I had exactly the amount of money come in 3 different ways once I cleaned up my money corner. So yay. Thanks, Denyne. So you guys listen up. She's got some powerful messages that are going to help you to transform your world, your life. You are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Hermann at WSMN 1590. And I'd like for you to welcome Denyne Sanville. She's an interior architectural designer. Denyne, are you there yet? I'm not hearing her yet. So I wanted just to talk about the importance. She has a lot of different knowledge to share about the importance of design. Is she on? Hey, Denyne, are you there?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Did you just hear my story about my money corner?
No, I did not. I just jumped on. I just got called. So
okay.
Here I am.
Yeah, well, I was just telling people that after we had our conversation earlier, I noticed as I was talking to you that my money corner was kind of a mess because I've been working from home, so I just took everything in and dumped it on this one spot, and I realized that that's my money corner. And so I was inspired to clean it all up, and I've been worried about where the money's going to come from to publish this book. And do you know that within days I had 3 different sources of unexpected income come in just enough to cover the publishing of this book? Holy cow.
Oh, wow, that is amazing.
It is amazing how it works. It is amazing.
Yes, it is.
So,
absolutely.
Denyne, tell us about yourself and your background.
Oh, well, I have a very diverse background, but very design heavy. Started in the remodeling industry with my dad's business when I was very young, in my teens. And my path has taken me through the world of residential remodeling and Feng Shui and interior design. And a lot of my experiences in work and in life have shaped the person and the designer that I am today.
You say that you're a wife, you're a mother, you're an entrepreneur, you're entering the wise woman phase of your life, you said?
Yeah. Yes, and it's a wonderful time.
Yes.
It is a wonderful time to be alive. It's a wonderful time to be reassessing who we are and our purpose here, and I think a lot of us are doing that these days.
And although you're an interior architectural designer, you said that your practice is very holistic in nature.
Yes, it is. While I am a classically trained interior designer, I also have, I'm also a Feng Shui master. And I've also spent quite a bit of time studying design psychology, color psychology, evidence-based psychology. Those are all tools in the toolbox, so to speak, to create a very holistic space that has a mind-body connection to the individuals who live in it.
Absolutely. And it's very, I have some background. I've studied Feng Shui principles myself, and I've used it, and I've gone into different people's houses and helped, but not at the same level or extent that you have. So much so that I was talking to my husband, my delightful engineering-minded husband, about the Bagua, and that there's 8 sides, and 8 different, just the different elements and 8 sides. And he's like, "Wait a second, how can you have 8 corners?" I said, "Well, there's 4 corners and 4 walls." And he's like, "Oh, okay, got it." But you said that you started very early in your father's business.
Yes. I actually started working for my dad's business when I was 16. He had a plumbing, heating, and remodeling business, and my path at that time looked like it was going to be going down the business management road and, stepping into the shoes of what my mother used to do in the business. She had early onset Alzheimer's and couldn't really continue with her role. So I kind of was, I was dragged into it a little bit. I can't say it was kicking and screaming because I kind of always thought I was going to be doing something like that. But I started down that road, and it morphed into a love for design itself. My dad and my brother were doing the design work for the kitchens and baths that they were remodeling, and they weren't doing the best job. And to be honest, I've always been an artistic person, so I thought, hey, I'll give this a try. And it was interesting how the universe put that on my path, and I have never looked back. I just kept going to school and kept getting educated and having different experiences, and that really kind of put me to where I am today.
And I know that you talk about color psychology, and we mentioned briefly the use of Feng Shui. Can you explain a little bit about what Feng Shui is?
Sure. Well, Feng Shui is an ancient Chinese art of the study of energy and placement, and how energy flow in our homes have a very profound effect on who we are day to day, and also how we go through life. It is also about the art of placement. You talked about the Bagua earlier, and the Bagua consider it like a map, and each area has a very specific correspondence to a life area in your life, whether it be career or family or romance or abundance, like you call it the money corner, I call it abundance. So every area of your home corresponds to an area in the Bagua, and there are quite a few different modalities of Feng Shui, but they all boil down to energy flow, the flow of qi or prana, whatever you'd like to call it. But it really boils down to positive energy flow and intention and alignment with your home.
And so you said that you use the Bagua, and that's what I have done, is gone in and looked at people's the energy in their house, and then but you add to it, you take it to a different level. Even you actually do some meditation, and to really get to know what the client's needs are. Is that right?
Yes, that is one of the tools. The school of Feng Shui that I studied was interior alignment, and its premise is to have the exterior of your home aligned with what your heart is longing for, your interior, so to speak. And one of the tools that we were taught was to take our clients through a guided meditation to really tune off the mind and tune into the heart to what we are desiring, not only for our lives, but also in our homes. And it's a very guided meditation. And then after we're finished with that, we kind of take and analyze what came up, and how we can interpret that into what's going on in the individual's life, but also looking at their home as well and seeing how that is really affecting what they're either going through now or preventing them to have something come into their life that they want.
And that's similar to what I do with hypnosis, is when I'm helping people to change internal patterns of behavior, I have them look at a future, I have them look back to see where does this start, but I actually have them get a vision of what they wish to be, a potential future image, which gives them the driver as to, okay, this is where I want to go. And it's important to use that mind-body connection to determine what is, what do I desire? Where instead of just, this isn't working, if you stick on the negative, then you're not allowing that positive energy to flow. So I think that's brilliant.
Absolutely.
You said that you use mostly positive when you're working with the bagua, and I do know that there's the negative component to it as well. And I pick on my wonderful husband all the time, but the one thing that if you were to ask him about the bagua, the one thing he would say that he knows is you never put water in your fire corner. And he said something even yesterday, and I'm not even sure if I remember what it was, but he always has these little idioms that keep me smiling. But it's true. There's definitely some positive things, but there are also some negative things that you have to be mindful of.
Well, yeah. So the bagua when we work with it, we're looking at the elements, and every element, whether it be air, fire, water, earth, metal, we're looking at it as far as what is it. There's positive, there's things that lift it up, as in positivity, those things that will enhance and strengthen those particular elements and areas. Each area of the bagua is tied to an element. Or there are things that drain it, and I think it's the draining piece that possibly you may be talking about, the things that are draining the energy, not and so we're looking at what are these things that are draining that particular energy in that area, and that's kind of the fire water analogy as you were talking about, for sure. So we're looking at that as well, things that will be draining and removing those, either removing those draining elements or enhancing the area if it's lacking in something that would enhance the positivity and the positive energy in the space.
I know when people come into my office, many will say, wow, the energy in here it just feels good. And that's what you're looking for, right? When you have an energy, your room, your house, your office, when it's balanced, when the energy is balanced, it results in a feel good. And that's what you're after, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the things that you were talking about, so that we're talking about Feng Shui and placement and all that, but you were also sharing with me some other ideas as to what people can do. We're coming out of winter. We're coming, we're into spring. May Day, the Druids would celebrate it as Beltane, which is the beginning of the heat. The season is coming. What do you recommend people do to shift their energy if they're, everybody's been kind of homebound? And how can we shift that?
Sure. Well, there are a lot of ways, and there are actually very easy ways that you can shift the energy. Not only your personal energy, making you feel better, but also the energy in your home. I think one of the easiest ways and the quickest ways would be to open up the windows and get the fresh air in your home. Open up your front door. And leave it open for a while. I don't know if many people realize that the front door is what they call the mouth of chi in your home. And so many times we come into our home through a garage or through a side door, things like that. Well, it's that front door that is really, imagine it to be the woman that has the lipstick on. You have the beautiful lipstick on the front, and everyone's attracted to that. And it's like, if you have a beautiful front door and you can open your front door, the energy will be flowing into your home. So those are a couple of quick and easy things. Performing a space clearing ceremony is a very easy way to shift the energy in your home, and when you do it with intention, then it makes it even more powerful. And it's a very easy thing to do, and it truly starts with cleaning and decluttering. And I know a lot of us have probably been doing a lot of that lately, and I'm curious to see how that's shifted just the energy to begin with, right? If our house is clean and it's not full of clutter, that definitely can help make a big shift as well. Those are a couple of very easy things, and I know they seem like it's kind of like a duh moment, but really it's that easy? Yes, it really is. Just trying those few things, cleaning, decluttering, opening your windows, maybe performing that space clearing ceremony. And it's very easy to do. There's a lot of resources that you could find online on how to do that. It does make a difference.
We just included one in the book that's going off to the publisher tomorrow. We actually included a specific exercise on creating sacred space. So yeah, it's powerful, based on divine guidance, and we've tried it on multiple people, and everybody seems to love it. And it is very simple, and yet at the same time, people definitely notice the difference in the energy once it is like opening the windows and clearing the energy. That's physical energy, but you also have to clear out some of that negative residual emotional and spiritual energy as well.
Absolutely. It's interesting you say creating a sacred space, Lois, because excuse me, that's one of the courses I taught for a long time, and it was about creating a place in your home that you can call your own, that you can go to refresh and recharge and connect with whatever it is that makes you who you are, whether it be through meditation or through just reading or closing your eyes for 5 minutes. But creating that, having that space, that sacred space within your home, or even in a garden outside your home, is very important.
It is. It's a place to escape, especially if you're in right now, many people are in their homes with their family members, and they feel they feel bombarded by other energy. I've been doing a lot of work via Zoom with hypnosis, and that's one of the things that I invite my clients, even if it's a closet, go to this place and make it very special, make it sacred, it's quiet, it's special, have some special, feels good, maybe a pillow, colors, fragrances that you can just get into and absorb into yourself, away from all the chaos of everyone else that might be in your environment. So it doesn't have to be a big space. It could be a window seat, but just a wonderful little place that you can escape to, that is your sacred space.
Absolutely. It really is very easy to do. There's a 7-step process that I developed to help people create this space, and it really looks at a lot of the things about design psychology that we were talking about earlier. It's easy to do, and it's very, very important.
Are you free to share, or can they find that on your website, or how the 7 steps?
I would be free. I would definitely like to have your listeners go to my website to find that.
Where's your website? Where do they find you?
Well, my website, my company name is Denyne Design, so it would be www.Denyne, Denyne, design, plural.com. I have some great information on there about energy flow. There's a blog that's very comprehensive that they can find a lot of information.
I know that you send newsletters out, or regular info letters out, which is great, and people can subscribe to that as well.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And we're listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Hermann at WSMN 1590. And my guest today is Denyne Sanville of Denyne Designs. And Denyne is an interior architectural designer. And she has a holistic practice where she studies the psychology of color and interactivity of, it's more than color, it's textures and just design elements. So we've been talking about Feng Shui from a decorative perspective. However, you take that to a whole new level. You actually design kitchens and redesign design and redesign houses and format of your home in order to more efficiently live in your home. Is that correct?
Yes. We are a full-service residential design firm, but we definitely specialize in interior architectural design. So one of my favorite things to do is take a look at a space and see how it can be made better. A lot of our clients hire us to do space planning and architectural redesign, and it's not necessarily, changing the exterior of a home. There's a lot that can be done on the interior. So we take our training in Feng Shui. I think that's one of the tools in our toolbox, but it's definitely one of the things that we always look at when we're designing a space, whether it be, we'd like to have spaces that are architecturally pleasing, and they're interesting to look at, to live in, they feel good. And we're able to do that through our knowledge and our experience, but also we have a great CAD program we work with, just like you see on HDTV, the 3D walkthroughs, and we can create full plan sets and help our clients really envision the space that they're going to be living in. When we get there, we've got a very specific process that we take our clients through, and that meditation that we talked about earlier could be part of it if they're into it. But we've got a very comprehensive design process that we go through to get us to where we're creating that awesome space.
And can you share with us a story about one of your clients in particular that you've helped to enhance their space or shift their space and that process? Do you have a favorite story you'd like to share?
Sure, I do. So I'm trying to think. There's quite a few of them, but I'm trying to think of the one that had the most impact. I would say there was a woman I worked with quite a few years ago, and she had hired me to renovate her condo. And when I walked into the space, I could immediately feel that the energy was not good, not, I think, where she wanted it to be. We had, throughout our process, I had discovered that she had a lot of strife in her life, excuse me, in the moment. She did not feel good about herself. She really wasn't happy with her job or her relationships. There was a lot of things that were going on that really weren't where she wanted to be. And I could clearly tell that, her home environment was not supporting her in the path that she wanted to go down. So it was a 3-story condo, and one of the first and foremost things that I did was discuss with her about clearing the home out, decluttering. There was a lot of things in her home that were related to past history that wasn't good, past relationships that weren't successful, just a lot of things that were, bringing her down when she was looking at them. So we spent quite a bit of time decluttering and clearing, and then we worked through the process that I have to really tune in to what her heart was desiring her space to be. And it was such a transformation, not only in the home, which was very store and very traditional, to a space that was very feminine and sensual, and some colors and textures. It totally was a transformation, not only in the home, but also in my client as well. We worked on this project for probably 2 years, and when we were all done, she had already changed as well. She had blossomed. She had lost a significant amount of weight, decided to start her own business, leave a job that wasn't serving her, and she really wanted to start her own business, and she did. And she was just starting a new relationship with a man that she had met. So I can't say that what I did was the impetus for all that happening, but I have to say it was probably the spark. I think having that home environment that she came home to every day, that she lived in every day, be a living, breathing reminder and support of what she wanted to become, I think that made all the difference in the world. And, it's one of the stories, but it's probably my favorite.
and sometimes it is about where do you want to go? We're stuck in a pattern that is based on our past, and we've got to make a shift in order to make that change. They say that just clearing out your closet, if you want a new relationship, clear the closet, make space for something new. The same thing with, as you're clearing the clutter, it's making space for new ideas, new opportunities. And I have a favorite Feng Shui story that I'd like to share as well. I had a client, and she was also a good friend, who I will use her name as Nancy, who had been through a 26-year marriage and subsequent divorce and still living in the same house. And she was very down, depressed, sad, blue. Nancy was raised on Nantucket. So really into anything seascape. But she was also known by her friends as the rainbow lady. She always wore colorful scarves and everything rainbow colors, but she wanted to leave her house. She just didn't feel right in her house anymore. She kept describing herself as being blue. So I walked in her house. She asked me to come and help her with some feng shui. I walked in her house, and Denyne, everything in the house was blue. Blue walls, the blue paintings from Nantucket, beautiful, waterscapes, but everything was blue. And I looked at her and said, Nancy, where are your rainbows? And she opened up this closet door, and they're stacked nicely, were all folded, her scarves, her throws, her quilts, her tablecloths. They were all stored in a closet. I said, okay, let's bring some of these out. And she actually had down, as I was kind of walking through her house, I found hidden in her laundry room against this wall on the floor was this beautiful double rainbow painting, huge. So I said, let's pull out some of your rainbows. And we had the bagua, and we rearranged her house just using what she had, pulled out these colors and threw the quilts over her couch, and a different, instead of a blue tablecloth, we put on a colorful tablecloth. And it was just amazing. And she, at the end, was in tears saying, oh my gosh, I love it. And it was her stuff. It was her home. She just needed to get rid of the blue. And, blue is wonderful. But imagine when you're feeling blue, you're down, you're depressed, too much of any element causes you to, in blue, you drown in that, the blue. So you have to have the balance of the elements. And that was a fun transition for her. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like it. And that's really what it is. That's what it's all about, Lois. It is all about balance. It's almost like there are many times that I'll see that there's something that's so overpowering that it's taking away from some of the other elements that are in the home. And sometimes when you just not necessarily get rid of something, but just make it a little bit less, it makes a difference. So there's your blue, in tribute to your blue.
Exactly.
Sure.
And I know that I have a lot of stuff, shall we say. I've traveled a lot. I have a lot of things in my home, but as I've used the bagua and I call it organized clutter. As I make sure that it's balanced, even in my office, I have beautiful things, but I have them arranged to where there's enough balance of, when we talk about the elements, we're talking about wood, we're talking about earth, we're talking about fire, and air and water. So we have to have a little bit of everything in order to, if you've got too much wood, it tends to also be overpowering. You feel like you're in a forest, which sometimes is kind of nice, but then you need to have the splash of color. You've got to have a little bit of water. You have to have some of the balance in order to feel at peace there instead of overpowered.
Yes, absolutely.
So, what do you do, or how do you make a difference and inspire others with what you do? I know that your your business itself is incredibly valuable, and you do some other volunteer type work, don't you?
Yes, we try to at least once a year or every other year get involved in a project that we can give back to our community. This year we're involved in the Building on Hope project, which is Building on Hope is a nonprofit organization that every 2 years selects a nonprofit to completely renovate and do an extreme makeover project for. This year we're going to be working on the Nashua Police Athletic League building in downtown Nashua. It's a great program for the youth in our community. 2 years ago, we were involved at the Crisis Center for Central New Hampshire, completely renovating that building. That was a building that supported and housed mothers and children that were domestic abuse victims. So we try to get involved in that. We've also been involved in a couple of makeover projects for local halfway houses for moms and their kids, and that's really something that's near and dear to our heart. I just try to give back to the community as much as possible, and personally and professionally, it's just something that I think we all should give back in some way. And I try to do it through my business and also in my personal life.
Exactly. And you also said that you do a lot of mentoring.
I do. It's interesting. One of the things that I've kind of come to, at least the point in my life where I'm at, is I've been in this business now for 35 plus years. And I've been having a lot of younger designers contact me recently in the past couple of years to just kind of pick my brain and say, what is it like and how did you get here? And I'm more than willing to help. I truly believe that there's enough to go around for all of us. And I've been put here on this path that I have for a reason. And I think part of it is to give back to the younger designers, the ones that are just, getting into this career, or maybe some that have been in it for a little bit and are struggling. I've had my business for, over 18 years now. And from starting out to part-time to now having two full-time employees, it's been quite a journey, and I'm happy to share that and give that back to some younger designers who are, looking to just start out.
That's
We've
wonderful.
got to help out.
So you are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Hermann, WSMN 1590, and we're speaking today with Denyne Sanville of Denyne Designs, and you can find her at www.denynedesigns.com. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. And Denyne is spelled interesting, Denyne. So what inspires you from your past, or who inspires you now, Denyne?
Wow. Well, I have to say more who than what. Sorry, guys. I have a frog in my throat today. I think it's who. It's the people in my life who have inspired me. Both of my parents, for sure, were a big inspiration on who I am today, teaching me good morals and values. My mom ran my father's business for many years and raised 3 kids. And my father was an entrepreneur and very successful. And he was my mentor in the realm of design and remodeling. And I can't thank him enough for teaching me the lessons that he did. But over the years, I have to say that some of my inspiration has come from other women who are strong leaders in their own lives and in their communities. One particularly comes to mind, a good friend of mine from Missouri. Her name is Jean, and we met about 5 years ago at a mastermind group out in California, and the woman just completely amazed me and inspired me. She was in her late 60s, early 70s at the time, and she was getting ready to climb Kilimanjaro.
Oh, my
training
goodness.
For that at that stage of your life. But that was just one of the many things I found out about this woman, of the things that she had done. She was a professor at Columbia University. She was a journalist for the Washington Post. Her husband was a Supreme Court justice who had passed away at a young age, and she raised her 3 children. She's a very strong woman's advocate, and I have to say she's been a very strong influence in my life. But women like her, women who have succeeded through adversity, who have gone beyond out of the box and out of what people thought they could be to being ever so more. And it's women like that who have inspired me throughout my life to be who I am and to give back and to go down the path that I have.
I have to say there's something about Missouri people, because my team Hope, I have at least 3 or 4 different people that are near and dear to my heart that are from Missouri that I relate to regularly and I'm inspired by. So many of them are listening to this call, even from Missouri. So there's something about that show me state that has these dedicated, diehard, tenacious people that are very inspiring. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
So what do you recommend or suggest to others to stay upbeat and inspired? Life has not always been easy for any of us. And what do you do, or what do you recommend to stay upbeat?
Well, several things. I mean, personally, several things that keep me positive and that keep me on the path. And I mean, we all have bad days. And right now, a lot of us are probably having a lot more in a row. But I think part of it is your personal outlook on things. Part of it, I believe, is developing routines that keep life normal for you, especially now. There's so many moms who are home with their children, all the time, and we're being mothers and keeping our households going and teachers. And so I think it's very, very important to have a routine of some sort that's just keeping you sane and keeping you feeling like you're who you are. You know, whether for me that's morning meditation and keeping a regular exercise routine and making sure I'm eating healthy, taking a break, during the day, and getting outside has been huge. I think Mother Nature and the sun and little tree therapy goes a long way, whether it's even for 10 minutes just to sit out there.
I like that, tree therapy. That's awesome.
Tree therapy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think, at least for me personally, it's having those routines that keep us grounded, keep us coming back to whatever it is that's important to us. And even in the moments of the day where, you get frustrated, I wear a bracelet that reminds me. It's a very special one. I picked it out specifically because of the colors and the stones and things like that. But whenever I get frustrated in the moment, I kind of have to stop and I look at the bracelet. It's almost like, I grew up Roman Catholic, so my mother always carried rosary beads with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in the rosary beads, I could see her in times of frustration. She would have her rosary beads and she would pray. Well, for me, it's in the moments of frustration, or I just need to kind of come back to center and source. It's just kind of run the bracelet through my fingers a few times and just slow down and take a breath. And sometimes those small things just make a difference.
And I actually was on an interesting mastermind meeting a couple of weeks ago where someone was talking about twiddling your thumbs is a very important tactile, energetic thing from an acupressure perspective. So as you're mentioning that about running your fingers through the beads on your bracelets, I'm wondering if there's that mind-body connection there too, where just the sheer act of the tactile act of distraction as you're running your hands across those beautiful crystals on your bracelet cause an energetic shift as well. So I'm rambling.
No, but I honestly, Lois, I believe they do. It's about shifting your mind in the moment away from whatever it is that's aggravating you, whatever it could be.
Exactly.
And shifting it to a different place, a place of calm, a place of peace, a place of grounding.
Exactly. I often will tell clients, your mind cannot think of two things at the same time. So if your mind is going down that negative path, the best thing you can do is, cancel, correct, stop, give yourself a minute to have the pity party, and then say, okay, I'm done. Now, where can I shift my focus? And go out for a little tree therapy, get up and dance, move, put on some music, do something to shift your funk into a different energy. And that will elevate your vibrational energy, it'll elevate your mood, it'll shift you to be more focused, more productive, which is great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I know we had talked about the whole concept of overwhelm. Sometimes we overcommit. And one of the things to do, one of my favorite phrases is not now. Give ourselves permission to let me think about it, push pause, instead of trying to do too much on that do list for the day. Say, wait a minute, what is really feasible for me to accomplish right now? And then say, okay, I'll think about those things tomorrow. Let me think of what's important to do right now and push pause on some of the other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I see all too often, sometimes we just react. We live in reactionary mode, and we don't necessarily take the time, even in that moment, to just stop and think and take a step back and say, okay, is this the action that I should be doing now? Is this in line with my core values? Is this something that really is going to serve me, or am I just doing this out of reaction or out of habit or whatever it may be? And I loved your saying about not now. I have a hard time saying no, but I think the not now is probably a little bit easier to come out because you're not truly saying no. You're just saying, just give me a minute to think about this and I'll get back to you. And
exactly.
At that point in time, it gives you a chance to really see if that is the right decision to make.
Mm-hmm. Because many of us have a hard time saying no, and then we overcommit, and then we end up angry at ourselves. Why did you do that? I can't believe I don't have enough time. So we have to just say, just not now. Let me think about it, get back to you. And then sometimes the person will find another solution, and then sometimes you think, no, you know what? I really need to do that, and that's okay. And then you're in control of the decision instead of the decision controlling you.
Absolutely. That is the key right there.
Yes. Just like deciding to do this radio show, like I said, I was inspired by the messages in the book that we need to shine the light on good people. There are so many good people, but all the news that you listen to is negative. And so when I had called George, I just wanted to come on the show and talk about my book. And I woke up that morning saying, you know what? I need to do a full show. I need to do this. And so it wasn't like George forcing a show on me. I walked in saying, George, I need to host a show. And it felt different. It was like I was in control of my decision, and I knew I needed to do this. And I knew somehow it would manifest beautifully, and it has. I have learned so much from all of the different wonderful people who have been on my show, and continue to learn and continue to connect with such amazing people. And you are, if you're just now tuning in, you're listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Hermann. We're here every Sunday morning at WSMN 1590. And every week I invite a different guest to be on, and people that I know and people have shared with me that they've known that I've gotten an opportunity to meet and to connect with. And it's wonderful to shine the light on so many people who are good, inspiring messages and inspiring ways of doing things that we can all learn from. And today we're speaking with Denyne Sanville of Denyne Designs. And Denyne, are there any special messages or events that you want people to know of? I know right now we're still kind of in this homebound situation, but as we come out of it, is there anything that's coming up?
For me personally, in business, no, we've kind of put our training and our workshops on hold. But as I did mention earlier, excuse me, we are supporting the Building on Hope program this year, and that Build Week is going to be happening in the end of September. And we're still looking for volunteers. We're still fundraising. We're going to be having a large fundraiser as soon as all the restaurants open back up. We're going to be supporting Mr. Max in Tingsboro by having a fundraiser there. And we'd love to have anybody who's in the greater Nashua community come out and support this amazing project. You can learn more by going to the web and looking up Building on Hope, and there'll be a lot of information about that program. So we'd love help and support.
And I'm sure that they would need all different types of skill sets, even from, answering phone calls or just go for, there's I'm sure that there's specific skills they're looking for, but I think anybody could help in some way. Is that true?
Absolutely. We need volunteers, every day, volunteers to serve lunch, people to just man a desk to check people in. There's always, they'll never turn anyone down if they want to help. There's plenty of ways.
Wonderful. And Denyne, I always ask people who are on the show, I had mentioned at the beginning of the show that book 2 is now off to the publisher as of tomorrow morning, and I am very excited. It's much different than book 1, but Denyne, you were a very strong advocate for Chronicles of Hope, the On Quietus, book 1. Can you tell us about that? You haven't read book 2 yet, but what I would love for you to give our listeners some insight as to what your thoughts are on the Chronicles of Hope.
Sure. Well, Lois, I want to thank you for doing these books. It's much needed in our world today, and I've known you for a long time, and I'm very much of the same mindset person that I believe that the universe gives us what we need, and I think the universe is giving us a message through you and through your books. The first book was amazing. I purchased it. I happened to be away for the weekend, and I read the entire thing, front to back, didn't put it down. The messages that it gives are something that we need to hear right now as a society and humanity. It is an amazing book. It is something that goes across generations, and in ages. I don't think anyone would do themselves a dishonor by reading this book. I think it is something that needs to be heard and it needs to be seen by the masses. It really is something that I'm looking forward to reading the second part, because I think the first part was, here's what's happening and here's kind of, I think, what needs to happen. But I know you said in the second book there's a lot of messages that the ancient ones are going to be telling us exactly what we need to do.
Exactly. Yeah, the first book was the Uncreators, the ancient ones that were more like historians, like professors that are saying, you guys need to wake up because you're heading down the wrong path. Humanity may not have much time left. So it was a wake-up call. Then they said to us, let us send ones that are closer to you, that can tell you what you can do to change the trajectory that you're on. So they gave us the wake-up call. Pay attention. You guys are just, if you don't do something now, you may not have much time left. So the next book, this next series of sessions, are from what we're calling the collective. Well, actually, they call themselves the collective. And these are the gods, ancient gods, archangels, ones that have been here with us, that are closer to Earth, that can tell us exactly what we need to do as humans, as humanity, to shift our patterns, our habits, so that we can be coming from a place of more positive energy and more connected with each other, so that we can usher in a new era of commonality, of support for one another, of shining the light on good people like you. So thank you. I appreciate you being with me on this path, and others who have been here with me on this path. I can't thank enough my what I'm calling my Team Hope members. I could have never done this without their skills and their gifts. The woman that's going to be on next week, Grandmother Blue Crow, described them as each are different players in an orchestra. that are helping to pull this work of art together. So these were channeled messages that were given to me, and my job is to get them out to the world. So thank you, Denyne, and thank you for doing what you're doing to bring hope, bring positive energy through the use of Feng Shui, through your background, your knowledge, your wisdom. And I know you've also been very involved in the community in different roles, and in business roles, and as an example to other people. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Lois. And I'm honored that you had me on today, and I got a chance to chat with you and your listeners and share some messages of positivity and hope, because I think it's something that we all should be doing right now, and we all need it, and I'm glad to help in any way I can.
I loved your favorite quote. Would you share?
Yes, I will. My favorite quote is, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. Always live in the present moment.
That's true. We don't know what's to come, but what's to come is based on how we live today. That's that gift of the present, the gift of the now. So if we choose happy, healthy, wonderful, insightful, and inspiring thoughts and actions today, then we will build a wonderful, wonderful future. So thank you so much, Denyne, for being with us today. Thank you for listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Hermann at WSMN 1590. And please tune in next week for another inspiring session with a wonderfully inspiring person. Meanwhile, look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Enjoy this beginning of May with all the beautiful flowers that are blooming, the fresh air, the sunshine. Open your windows, let the air in, and go outside and celebrate May and the beginning of new life with the birds, the squirrels, the chipmunks, and everything of nature. Thank you. Enjoy yourselves. Look for the positive in your day. I will see you next week at Inspiring Hope. Take good care.